I've had a lot of people ask me over the weekend if I was surprised there was an error in Treasury costings for the JobKeeper program, and sadly, no, I'm not. After all, Treasury's modelling for Kevin Rudd's emissions trading scheme, even in the middle of the global financial crisis, was all economic Pollyanna and made no allowances as to the true state of world markets. We see Treasury's hand too in the use of higher and higher migration intakes to artificially boost growth numbers in the budget year in, year out, and in any event. How often do we get a budget forecast signed off by Treasury, be it debt, deficits or surpluses, that never actually eventuates? So no, I don't think Treasury is infallible in any way. Why is it somehow Josh Frydenberg's fault that these boffins made a $60 billion mistake? If, as Anthony Albanese claims,
this is a mistake you could have seen from space.
Come on, you either picked it up or you didn't, and you didn't pick it up. And anyway, your mob voted for the legislation, so what's this say about Labor's capacity to read the numbers? As far as I'm concerned, it says everything about Labor, that even today, Labor are up in arms about a government program that now only needs to borrow half of what they thought it did. Rather than celebrate the fact it means taxpayers are $60 billion better off, plus interest, Labor wants more debt. Indeed, as the Treasurer was at pains to point out today, it's normally considered a big win when a demand-driven spending program comes in under budget. In this case, it means that not as many businesses lost 30% or more of their revenue as Treasury previously thought would be the case. And it suggests, doesn't it, that the hit to our economy from this virus may not be quite as bad as first feared, or at the very least, given daily infection rates are now down to single digits in most states and no infections in some, it should all give us hope that the sooner we get things up and running again, the more likely we are to prevent long-term damage to our economy. That's, of course, only if the states stop this game of thinking they're all mini countries with passports required for us to move around. I tell you what, I've never seen Labor state premiers so tough on borders. Only this time, it's Australians they want to keep out. And it all highlights yet again the farce of letting so-called experts run the show, be it state health boffins who want borders closed or federal Treasury boffins who need a lesson in modelling. For years now, politicians who'd rather not take responsibility for the decisions we elect them to make have been telling us that they're all for and taking expert advice. On everything from economic policy to climate change to health policy, politically correct commentators have urged governments, especially those on the centre-right, to listen to the experts. And while you wouldn't know it from watching the ABC or perhaps reading the Sydney Morning Herald, there are very often almost as many expert opinions as there are experts. Only most of the time, it's only those experts who sign up to the groupthink that get a run. Sometimes, though, let's admit, even with the best will in the world, even genuine experts can simply get it wrong. Today, rather than just accept the Treasury experts got it wrong, the Treasurer chose to explain it all away by saying that lots of businesses misunderstood Treasury's form and they wrote down the amount of money they expected to get rather than the number of workers they thought the program would have to support. Really, Josh? Even if this mistake was the mistake of individual businesses filling out the Treasury forms wrongly and not so much the modelling by experts, one way or another, either Treasury got the numbers wrong or Treasury designed a form that businesses couldn't follow to the tune of a $60 billion error rate. Whichever way you look at it, there's really only one conclusion here, that experts aren't always right, and that when you don't have to borrow the money you thought you might have, well, that's a saving. And saving taxpayers' money is always cause for celebration in my book, and not, as Labor suggest, the opportunity to just borrow it anyway and spend up big whether we need to or not.